Hi everyone. Okay, I wanted to pop on real quick, super short video. I wanted to just talk about what I'm getting a lot of phone calls about, interest about, parents, moms reaching out, messaging me about how concerned they are of how much school their child missed in the past year or over the last 16 months, really. Depending, regardless of whether the parents are in Australia, the UK, Canada, the US, to varying degrees, kids have missed a lot of school this year. Some kids have spent most of their year in online learning. And if your child already struggles with a learning disability or a reading difficulty, whether it's dyslexia or visual processing disorder or something else, this school year has been a real eye-opener for a lot of parents, right? So what I just want to talk about is what you need to address first. So the first thing is that, parents will say to me, mom will say, I knew there was a reading difficulty. I knew he struggled. I don't think I realized how bad it really was on so many levels and how much it was affecting until we started doing online learning or until we started doing homeschooling or, some variation of that. And there's a lot of anxiety around September. And I know a lot of parents are being told, and rightfully so, don't worry, they're going to be okay. They're going to catch up. It's, going to be fine. Just let them be a kid. And the moms are all saying, yes, I get that. But I also know my child has a really unfair advantage to a lot of, or disadvantage, I should say, compared to a lot of other kids. So this isn't like normal. Everyone's at the same place. They'll tell me my child feels like they're really far behind, and this is really critical. So there's a lot of anxiety over what to do, what September is going to look like. Moms will say to me, I already am dreading the September catch up, the homework battles, how much more they're going to hate school, all of that type of stuff. And so one of the things I'll ask is, okay, what are you doing right now to, tackle this or address this, or what do you feel like you need to be doing? And of course, I don't know, 8 or 9 times out of 10, they'll tell me we are, we have them in tutoring, we're doing reading every night, we're doing all this extra practice or some variation of that. And as an educational therapist, a teacher for 15 years, there's so much that we've learned about the brain and how it works. And there's a few things you really need to know so that you're not putting yourself and your child through all this extra work of extra practice and reading and all these things you think you should be doing to get them to where they want to be, only to feel like they haven't moved across the line at all, or they're just possibly even more frustrated. And so that first thing, number one, is that extra practice basically is great. It really is. I feel like I'm always knocking tutoring, and tutoring programs are great. My daughter had a tutor because there's a few weak spots with math that she needed some reinforcement with, and she had that all this year. Tutoring is great. Tutoring is only great though if those connections are in place. And when kids have dyslexia, visual processing disorder, and various reading disorders, tutoring is not going to help because the connections are not there. And so what number one has been found is that kids with dyslexia, kids with visual processing disorder, reading comprehension difficulties, all that type of stuff, have less connections in the areas that are typically used for reading, writing, and so forth. And so the result is that these kids are reading from the wrong part of their brain. And what that means is that they are reinforcing practice is actually reinforcing the connections that they're using right now, which are faulty connections. So it would be like you have some kind of instability physically, and you just keep exercising that instability, whether, as a result, the one arm has to compensate. And so this arm maybe becomes really strong. And we've seen that if we've ever been in a cast or something for a while, right? One side of the body really has to compensate. And this is what's happening when our kids have reading difficulties and we're not doing the right action at the right time. So again, it's not that tutoring is bad. It's not that extra practice is bad. The saying practice makes perfect. It's absolutely true if the right connections are in place. If the wrong connections are in place, we're actually reinforcing those connections. And that can actually lead to, they might improve because their brain will find ways to adapt, But this is what happens where like the parents have teenagers come to see me and they say they've always struggled and they're still struggling, and it's always so laborious. And that's because we just kept reinforcing those connections. The brain just had to find new ways to compensate, because there are certain areas of the brain that really need support and strengthening that never got that support or that intervention. So the first thing that we need to do in order to get there, because obviously everybody's different. When I screen kids, sometimes it's, poor reading comprehension, visual processing disorder, dyslexia. Sometimes there's stuff that's missed in a diagnosis. And not that the diagnosis is necessarily wrong, but there's more going on than meets the eye and so forth. And we have to work on that first. So the first key is to identify where those weak connections are. And the way we do that is by doing a screening. So what I'm going to be doing on Thursday at 12 p.m. Eastern in my group, Building Better Brains, I'll be doing a Facebook Live. I'm going to be walking parents through the top areas or reasons why kids have reading struggles, which connections are weak, and why they need to be strengthened, and so forth. So I really encourage you to join me on Thursday at 12 p.m. Eastern. Mark it on your calendar. PM me to get more details of how to, make sure you can attend that and so forth. Basically, it's how strengthening these particular connections to reading can help your child, become a more confident reader and really move past those Band-Aid approaches and so forth, and get you out of that place of frustration and get your child out of that place of feeling discouraged and so forth. So do join me on Thursday, 12 p.m. Eastern, and it's going to be super packed with information. I'm willing to bet you've never heard. Maybe there's one part that you might have heard a little bit of. I'm going more into depth even in that. But I know for most of you, you haven't heard about this, and it really is the missing piece of the puzzle in terms of what to address. So I look forward to seeing you there. Do join me, and have a great day, everyone. Thanks for watching. Bye.